You've got big projects to tackle, but your day gets swallowed up by repetitive tasks and constant inquiries. It's hard to make progress when you're stuck putting out fires. That's where Element 451's AI assistants come in. Acting like an extra set of hands, you get your time back for the high-impact projects. Ready to reclaim your time? Visit element451.com/AI team to learn more.
Welcome to the Generation AI podcast, where we demystify artificial intelligence in the world of higher education. I am your host, JC Bonilla, joined by the insightful, the only one and only, oh, that was horrible. Let me do it again. Joined by the insightful Ardis Kadiu. Hi, Ardis.
Hey, JC, how's it going?
I think this is the first time I screw up my intro. I usually over deliver on your part, and this felt just bad, my friend. So
don't worry, I screwed up your intro last time, I think.
That's right.
I wasn't very excited about it.
My friend, close end of the year. 2024 is wrapping up. And just basically wanted to check on how is the end of year vibes? Gigantic year for you, gigantic year for Element, gigantic year for our families. So how's the end of the year for the Kadiu family and Ardis?
End of the year has been great so far. We, by the time this comes out, probably be in New York for a week there. So I'll be visiting. So far, this year has been incredible. Like the growth of Element, where we've been, the amount of new partners that we've loaded. I think I've attended 30 conferences this year. It's been incredible. We had an amazing trip to Europe as a family. That was great. Of course, you came back, so lots of changes there. And the big one which we announced on the last episode, Element got a huge strategic investment from PSG to kind of take us to the next level. So everything culminating with kind of that success, which has been incredible, right? And then kind of reflecting back on it, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, much to be grateful for, right? So I no doubt being back at Element, supporting you, my friend, it brings light and so much passion to my heart. Our families, it was great to see you and your family recently. They're growing, so is mine, right? There's this aspect of you turned 40 this year, my friend. So that's a big one. So come on, we cannot forget that now you're seeing the world from the fourth floor. And I remember that. I remember that because I was going to say there's a sense of maturity that I feel you and I carry in our work, in our lives, families, and it feels good to be where we are with this type of maturity, right? Because it's not that things can get into your head or not. It's just that, if I was here doing what I'm doing and I was 30, it would feel different, right? And there's something very, very interesting to be at this point in my life when I'm on my, 47th. I'm going to be 47 in February. So very interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now this podcast has had also maturity. And it's fascinating that we are doing our 56th recording as we speak. So we are over a year. Do you remember when we started? When was our first podcast? I can't remember. That's something that we need to research. Do we even know? It's been 56 on a weekly drop. So that's at least a year, right? So it doesn't feel like it's been a year.
I think it was December of last year, but I have to double check.
All right, we're gonna do the 1 year anniversary. Someday.
It might have passed.
It might have passed. But we started doing different things. Not only we're commenting, as usual, on deployments of AI, news, demystifying the technology, but we started introducing LinkedIn live sessions, and that was super fun. Bringing Peter and other guest speakers in our community who can augment our narrative and close to what we've been working on, right? This podcast in 2024 for our audience here represents the balance of technology, human, and all things educational technology. So very, very good year for our podcast. what was your highlight of 2024 as it relates to this 56 episodes? I have one in my head, but what is it for you, my friend?
What was the highlight for me? I think we did a live episode, and I think that was like we hadn't done a live episode before.
Yeah.
And this was when O1 got released, and
Strawberry.
It just happened. Strawberry. Yeah. And I'm like, shit, let's just get together and let's do this. Like, what does this mean? What is it? Like, what's going on here? So that was a big one.
That's a big one. For me, it was actually interesting. It was one of the special episodes. I want to say Gemini. I forgot which one it was, but it was one of those things that, JC, this just got dropped. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And I did an episode from my car on the way to school to NYU. And it was just basically an episode from my remote mobile office. But it was just basically a sense of things were happening so fast, Ardis, in this year. This podcast, we literally try to keep up with everything that was coming our way. That's why we need to do a proper recap, right? So we need to basically try to go through our archives and remind everybody of what a tremendous, monumental year has been, right? And then let me start with the first one. One of my favorite things about the accomplishments of AI in our lives today is multimodal deployment of AI. I can text it, I can see it, I can hear it, I can be a graph, I can be a letter, or I can be in a refrigerator, or I can be in a phone. It's so exciting that AI right now has crossed that line, and multimodal, a significance of models that are able to understand simultaneously any type of or multiple data types. It's now here with us, and it's here to stay, right? So really, really, really exciting things.
Yeah, exactly. I think, look, we talk about multimodal because there's multimodal as well, but multimodal.
Yeah, that's just me in my ESL. We're talking about data types here, not models.
I just love it. So multimodal AI, I think
GTM.
GMT.
I know.
So the multimodal part was been like 2024 has been really about like this multimodal models, like just having the incredible ability to take pictures and then, have them, these models reason about pictures or understand images, understand pictures. I remember when we were, when I forget where was it, GPT-4 got released and there was multimodal, they had an images. I don't know what year, if it was 2023, when they were showing how he can take a picture and he can kind of understand it and build a website out of it and so on and so forth, which is really, really interesting. That's been an incredible journey since then. Now we take it for granted, but this whole year we have been seeing more and more models understand images, understand video, generate video. This video generation models have gotten really, really good as well too.
Yeah. So and then multimodal continues to progress. We saw recent deployments from Google Video, also Amazon joins the multimodal family.
Yeah, with Nova. Yeah. So if you remember, Sora was back in. We did a really early episode in February, which was Sora, right? Sora dropped in February, and then everybody was freaking out because it was so good. It's not out yet. Some might say that it's probably going to be out this year, as OpenAI has their 12 days of Christmas or 12 days till Christmas drops. So every day they're dropping something new. And people are speculating that Sora actually is going to come out. But since then, there's been so many others. Like you said, Google's VO, Amazon Nova, they just released that a couple of weeks ago. This notion that it can understand a lot of video.
But Ardis, one of the important drops of multimodal AI, it's coming from home when Element joins this party by introducing voice. You want to say something about Element and voice?
Oh yeah, that's an exciting one. So this is real-time voice. This is the notion that these models understand voice as an input, and they don't have to transcribe it. They can just respond back in voice in real time. So you don't have the transcription part. So OpenAI introduced the real-time voice models, And we started building right away. We're like, this is really exciting. This is going to transform, because there's no delays anymore. This is going to transform how you communicate. So we started building on the real-time voice, and it's still not out of preview, by the way. So that's still in kind of the beta phases, but we have a real-time voice in Element right now with part of our AI agents.
It just got demoed across all the National Association of Admission counselors and professionals, right? So I'm just saying that it's, that cat is out, right? It's out of the bag.
It was even more impressive. I gave a presentation in front of a whole bunch of presidents, and one just happened to be Latin, and we just told her that, hey, we told the model or the AI to speak in Spanish, and she was like, holy shit, that's correct. This is, and then the nuance and the accent and everything was really, really good.
Well, I gotta tell you that when I saw the demo, our Bolt AI went into Castellan Spanish from Spain, my friend. So I gotta talk to Peter and our product team. Like, come on, get your Latin right, my friend. Get your all right. Let's move on to a really, really interesting year of small language models, and we actually dedicated part of, I think, 2 episodes ago to this idea of small versus large and kind of how you go about the heuristics and the process of selecting a small language model. But they're here. 2024 represents a shift towards smaller, more efficient language models. Ardis, you took us through the whole rationale of when and how they should basically show up. And by the way, when we talk about small language models, we're still talking about billions of parameters that are really, really cost effective, but they are basically designed to drop in your phones, and they democratized AI access, right? We see Tiny Llama, Claude Instant, and many, many more deployments of this. So what was the most exciting that, in your side when it comes to small language models, my friend?
So the idea of a small language model is that it can be cheaper and it can be a lot faster. So all of the larger, frontier labs like OpenAI and Google and even Meta with Llama, they introduced tinier versions like Llama 7B or, OpenAI's O1 Mini or GPT Mini. Like, those are tiny versions that don't have as many parameters, but they can be a lot faster. And in some cases, they're really, really good as well. So this year we saw where you can have this smaller, tiny models, reduce the cost and then add speed and efficiency as well. So we're really, that's been really exciting, because now we can deploy these small models into local hardware, and they can be put into phones, and they can be put into a lot of different places. And of course, they can reduce the cost tremendously, because you can't just run these massive models for every single task in order to productize, in order to put it into your product. Sometimes I don't need to use a GPT-4 for categorization, right? Or for sentiment analysis. Like, I can just use a mini, or I can use Llama Tiny or one of those very, very cheap models that are super fast in order to do this task that doesn't require the larger ones. So the cost goes down, we bake it into products, and now we have more and more AI adoption in products. So more products are getting built with it baked right in.
2024 is still a year where large frontier models dominate, but the introduction and the large deployment, the important deployment of small models has been felt, seen, and present. 2024 has a fantastic milestone in AI as it relates to reasoning. And I was so impressed because I got to see OpenAI O1 model live with you, Peter, and myself in one of these episodes, and I was basically very impressed of this ability to come and think in front of us. These deployments of reasoning are doing 2 things. Number 1, just basically brought the benchmarking to the next level, and you use these words, the smarts, ridiculous, right? So PhD level type of smartness. But to someone like me who has been basically trained in the data science world, like, one of the problems that we had was model interpretability, right? And the transparency in what is happening in that black box, that just now opened up. And I thought I would forever remember 2024 as the year where the black box opened up and I'm able to see through the model how it's thinking, how it's processing, and how it starts to showcase how the sausage is being made. So really, really, really exciting. Remember that episode when we spoke about O1 and reasoning?
The reasoning steps, and you can see all of that. Yeah, they didn't really open up how it works behind the scenes, but basically what it said, it's like rather than giving, like when you think about 2 + 2 = 4, right? You don't show your work. You just see 4, and you're like, well, how the hell did you talk about 4? Do you have some knowledge that I don't have? So if you're not familiar with math, then it doesn't make sense to you. But now with these reasoning models, it's like they're actually showing their work on how they got to certain answers, and they're following that, which is pretty cool because now we can we can kind of make them think through problems, and we can break things down, and so that's really, really exciting, like the O1 models. But also, if you remember, Gemini 1.5 dropped this year as well, and they've been kind of doing a lot of incredible work over the past over the past 6 months or maybe a little bit longer as that model dropped. And that one has some really, really interesting context windows. Remember context windows being a really big thing this year?
Yes.
Where now, back in 2023, we were just copying and pasting very tiny text and putting it in. Now we can just upload whole documents with large context windows. It was 8,000 tokens before. Now we're up to 2 million with Gemini 1.5, or even longer than that. So you can upload like books and books and books of it.
I mean, think about how Google Auto ML. I'm forgetting the name.
Notebook ML. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So literally, you're able to upload the Element board presentation. I think that's what you did, and then you end up with the podcast.
Yeah.
That's basically what 2024 represents. 2024 also, Ardis, represents a year where the investments of AI continue to dominate, and it's an AI-friendly funding scenario. But for me, one of the most important things is how these giants of AI basically come with astronomical valuations that signal this industry is not a fad. This industry defines what the next ecosystem of primary technologies, secondary technologies, what I call the first derivative and second derivative, will look like. Elon Musk, funding its XAI enterprise with $6 billion, right? OpenAI with this valuation at $6.6 billion. NVIDIA, right?
Well, hold on. They took in $6 billion, but the valuation of both, so the valuation of XAI is $50 billion right now.
Right.
At $50 billion. Whereas OpenAI is at $175 billion. We thought we had a good valuation with Element at that time. So just remember that that's how the value of those companies. These are still private companies, which is incredible. And last year we didn't know about XAI. XAI was kind of an unknown.
Was an unknown, right?
This year they have one of the frontier models with Grok 2, and they built the fastest supercomputer with 100,000 GPUs. And talking about NVIDIA, H100s with 100,000 GPUs. And they're building right now Grok 3, and we'll probably see it live in sometime February. But we're not in the predictions section yet. We're just in the look back.
And in the look back, speaking of GPUs and the software that powers the AI, NVIDIA, $3.5 trillion. It surpassed the market capitalization of $3.5 trillion. I don't even know how to divide this in terms of Costa Rican GDPs, but this probably represents 125,000 Costa Ricans. The country, right? Not the people. Amazon, of course, another one of the big players with an $8 billion investment within Anthropic. making, Anthropic Cloud, AWS, that partnership, and the ecosystem of generative AI startups attracting close to $20 billion in funding. Literally, if you have an AI value proposition in terms of technology this year, you basically benefited, cemented, Element being one of them, and multiple more, where, again, the statement is we're here to stay, and this is where the first derivative now is starting to basically go into the second derivative.
Did we predict NVIDIA, becoming the most valuable company in the world? I don't think we did.
I don't think we did, right?
We got to go back. We got to go back and listen to it.
But we were friendly, right? And we've because of our backgrounds, we always see software and hardware kind of coming to hand, and then we do both things. So I wouldn't be surprised if we said we're bullish on it for sure, right?
We did predict that the GPT-5 was going to be out, but still not out. What's going on?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get to predictions. just let me do 2 more recaps, and then we'll go into predictions. The last recap that I want to do is presidential election, right? In commercials and basically the adoption of chat GPTs of the world, Claude and whatnot, have made 2024 really the year where AI-generated content, it's abundant in a way, not a one-offs, but how many things are being produced. Dozens of albums in terms of entertainment, the McDonald's AI commercial, there was tons of TikTok AI-generated trends, sports documentaries, Netflix creating series, a ton of influencers basically dominating Instagram and other places. It was
you mean fake influencers?
Yes. It was non-stop where we saw the deployment of generative AI and AI-generated content coming in and basically saying, I'm here and I basically lower the production times, the cost times, and I'm real. I'm here to stay. Anything from your side as it relates to 2024 and AI-generated content?
Look, we really saw the consumerization or like the mainstream of this content, this generated content. So now it becomes mainstream. One of the things that is, of course, this is recency bias, but one of the commercials that with Apple Intelligence, if you remember over the past couple of months now, Apple has run this commercial when, somebody's writing an email, but their language is like they're very emotional and they hit make this friendly. And then now once of a sudden the outcome is very different. So that being a commercial where a year and a half ago, we were talking about changing the tone of our messages and the tone of our content and putting into ChatGPT. Those were seen as tricks. Now, today, entering mainstream and being baked into the operating system and to the OS itself and into Apple Intelligence, and the commercial essentially showing you this use case that is so mainstream that's like, okay, a year ago it was a trick and today it's really mainstream. Like that's what's resonated from me in terms of content production. It's more the commercial depicting Gen AI versus the use of it in commercials or media.
It feels that every industry is tapping on to content that is generated through AI layers, and it's literally everywhere. Ardis, the last recap of the year, I'm going to leave it to you because this is so core of who you are as an AI leader. But this year, right, represents the emergence and consolidation of agentic systems, specifically agents and anything AI and agentic systems is literally one of the biggest highlights of 2024. You want to talk about that and what it meant?
Well, I want to go back to what we predicted last year. I think we did talk about this notion of her, right? So the evolution of the AI assistants, likening them to like characters from science fiction like her. So I think that was one of the things that we talked about. And when we come to today, the agentic nature of a lot of these deployments are incredible. If you think about the work that we've done or the work that we've seen from like GPT-4o with like OpenAI that can operate autonomously without kind of constant human guidance, to like we've seen things like Devin AI. Devin is the AI programmer that we showcased it during this show, where it can build full applications, right? There's also whole systems that are being built with from Element releasing our AI assistants, right, to Salesforce now pushing for what they call Agent Force. So
it felt like they switched the entire 20 years of existence to like now we're an agent force.
Well, let me remind you that last year in 2023, Salesforce their message was safe AI. It was all about safe AI. It didn't stick. It's like, what are you talking? Like everything was, well, you have the grounding data.
They had the Einstein persona, right?
That's right. But then last year, because people were...
My first prediction is Salesforce, Agent Force is not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Sorry, keep on going.
The model will work, but I don't know if they're going to pull it off in terms of the adoption for sure. It was really interesting because when you think about this notion of like safety, to be honest, 2024 was the year when we didn't have to talk as much about hallucinations or as much about my data being sent to the cloud and my data not being safe. 2023 was all about that. And 2024, it was really people actually understood and the adoption of some of these products. We moved away from the safety conversation and the cheating in the classroom conversation to more practical use cases of AI. Yeah. So that was a huge change. And the agentic, workflows, not just chatbots, but just actually agents doing work, like that was a big change for a lot of, why we're seeing that, that manifestation now. So real software is getting built with Gen AI at its core, or we call it AI first. And we're seeing the value that it's delivering, from content generation to interacting with different systems to coding to image generation, like all of that stuff.
And true that the maturity of agentic systems and many other all things being AI has removed us from hallucination, privacy, to like, oh, what is the use case? There were still very interesting important maturity acquisition type of mishaps that took place. So we're going to really quick, but remember that this year, that's where we saw the Gemini AI image generation controversy, right? That it started producing these historically distorted images of, I don't know, George Washington in a little hippie or African-American flavor. Bing AI started producing a bit of misinformation as it related to the presidential election. McDonald's had this AI fiasco and an experiment where they were trying to deploy ordering through AI and like just basically didn't work for them. So chicken McNuggets for everybody, just kept on going. I thought it was really interesting that this mishap has a connotation of the maturity that is needed in 2024 and going forward. But we saw in Tesla, that there were some incidents and really sad fatalities, but this negative data, right, these really sad things are making these algorithms more bulletproof, and more lives and more benefit probably comes from this long term. But really interesting mishaps that cement the maturity that we're talking about. Oh, of course, we saw deepfakes coming in, and that's basically obviously something that happens around AI. One of the famous ones was, I'm now forgetting, was Taylor Swift's this year or 2023?
I think it's probably this year.
Yeah, it's Taylor Swift's. Then also this lady that lost like almost $690,000.
Right.
The CEO who got also scammed with a fraud, so all those type of things. So this maturity is important. We cannot just say that everything is perfect, but it really feels that it's moving forward. So with this, in 2024, are we ready to turn the page and start basically saying 2025, my dear AI, you look like fill in the blank. Ardis, what do you want to go first with? 2025, your prediction or your predictions?
My predictions. Two things are going to happen. One is the model capabilities are going to get better, and we're moving into the reasoning world now. So where before these models were really, really good at generating content and thinking and being pretty eloquent, now from a frontier capability, we're moving into reasoning, we're moving into these models understanding the world. So the world models, so to speak. And as of last year, we talked about multimodal was going to be 2024, where that happened. 2025 is going to be about world models and how they understand the world. From Tesla self-driving cars, that's the first kind of manifestation of that, to how these robotic systems and robots, humanoid robots or other robots, they need models that are understanding of the world and they can reason about it. So that's going to be, I would say, number one. So we can stay at that number one first. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to go back and forth on different different predictions, or do you want to...
Let's go back and forth, because I think we could do hours on this. So let's just basically pick your best three. I'll do my best three and basically comment. Okay. So your first one, let me comment and react on it. Reasoning. Yes, I think that what is 2025 is going to mark is 2025 is going to be the 2024 of reasoning. What does that mean? Is that now the reasoning has been frontier for this year. So the use cases start basically to augment, and we start seeing that type of deployment of AI. Not black boxy, showcases me through the different steps. And as a consumer and as a user, I should be able to start picking that up and know what to do with it. So what I love to say in 2025 is that not only I see the deployment of reasoning, in pushing AI, but us, the consumers, becoming more nuanced and understanding and expecting it and knowing how to throw it back in the cycle. So the human in the loop becomes also sophisticated with it. Let me give you one. I truly believe that this idea of AI and hyper-personalization going to the next level is a 2025 play. We've seen it, Ardis. We know it can be done. But I saw these in demos, right, where a platform like, Meta or Facebook, it looks at a recent picture that you have on your phone, maybe that you posted, and all of a sudden what it says is, in your feed, you start seeing your own content, your own type of, I wish I was there, right? Or how a product that now I'm looking at blends with a picture of where I was, and all of a sudden that ad has a new reality of hyper-personalization. So think about it. Today, we're in the stage that I can get commercialized and target as, hey, JC, you are just in New York City looking at the tree with your family. By the way, are you interested in traveling with, Christmas spirits type of thing? And all of a sudden what it does, it deploys, whatever I'm buying at the moment, something for my kids. That type of hyper-personalization that is contextual and seasonal, it's really, really here for us. So I'm really excited about how that is going to be coming. I don't think the hyper-personalization has really reached targeting in ads, and I think that maybe this is the year.
Right. So if we stick to that, the hyper-personalization, do you think that it's just a cost thing? Do you feel it's a cost thing? As the costs come down, now you can have more AI happening at the individual actions of the consumer or at the individual application layer? That's the way we see it. That's the way I see it from the element side. Like we have the capability of doing more of this at the user level, or building more AI capabilities or Gen AI capabilities, but it just costs us so much more money, and that's just not baked in. So you feel like if the cost is going to come down, it's going to drive this?
Two things have mature, right? Because 2024 was about maturity. So infrastructure has matured. Now it's becoming cheaper. Talk to Peter, right? When it comes to our technology, he still doesn't believe that we're paying less, right? And we're using more AI. It's incredible. But there's a second really, really important trajectory that meets personalization to the next level. With cookie deprecations, providers and platforms like Google and Meta and whatnot, they have to figure out how to handle privacy. And they haven't gotten their act together, but they did this year. And this is going to be launched next week. So what does that mean? Is that your algo and your LLMs can interact with these backbones of privacy and then say, oh, you look like this thing based on a call API, and then also basically targets and messages. That infrastructure wasn't in place, and I think that it's going to be at 2025, and it should be very, very fast to be mainstream. So in other words, without knowing that Ardis Kadiu is the human in North Carolina, it would sense that there's a man in North Carolina that is interested in technology, and boom, all of a sudden, like, you get that ad. Why? Because the algos already are mature enough to provide that type of detail through API calls. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, your turn. What are you excited about? What are you predicting?
I think this is going to be the year of the agent. So,
I'm surprised you didn't lead with that one, by the way.
Well, I wanted to lead with something that's a little bit more out there, not as obvious, right? So
Totally.
This is going to be the year of the agent, and what we mean by that is this agentic, autonomous AI agent systems are going to become more and more mainstream, and everything is going to get delivered through these agentic systems. We're seeing it already. Element is kind of moving in that direction, and we have product out there, but the adoption of AI agents is going to be tremendous in this next year. Like everywhere you turn, it's all about how do we now automate things, and how do we use autonomous agents. They're getting better, and we're actually seeing a lot more production full systems. Like, think about, and if you haven't seen this, you should probably go take a look. But Cursor, which is an AI code editor, it's actually, people are building full applications with it, and it's an agentic system, right? So we talked about Devin before. Cursor is very similar to that, where it's building this agentic kind of work. We're seeing AI agent platforms being built. So Agent AI from HubSpot, Agent Force from kind of Salesforce, right? AI assistants or Bolt AI assistants at Element, like we're building those. We're going to see this everywhere. You're going to have AI agents, and the traditional chatbot is going to be replaced as well, right? So this notion that we're talking to chatbots or to this dumb bots, so to speak, on those are going to go away, and the transformation is going to be even faster. We're also going to see, kind of transforming and getting to your personalization component. So the personalization or hyper-personalization around content and media, like that's going to be coming to the, that's going to be driven by agents, by local agents, or by agents that know you, just like you said, right? It's going to, so that those agents are going to be able to do things on your behalf. So they're going to be able to take actions on your behalf, not just on content or make recommendations, but they're also going to be able to manage your life a little bit better. And that's going to be showing up first in, we're seeing it already in the Apple Intelligence being baked into the software, with Pixel into your phones. It's going to become more and more relevant. And of course, they're building Alexa. They announced that they're building new models, and they're infusing Alexa with new Gen AI models already from reInvent. So that's coming. Siri getting better. So all of these agents, 2025 will be the world of the year. Well, I guess in the world of AI agents.
Yes, I think that it makes a lot of sense to call it out. Two things on the 2025 being the year of agents. I think that there's a nuance of agents as it relates to my personal productivity that we're going to see in 2025 that is next level. I'm going to give you this example that I recently heard in an interview. This is from one of the CEOs in a matching platform, like, Love and hookups and whatnot, that type of platform. It is really interesting that the majority of the matches are geo based. So proximity is an important parameter of match. And what they think about it is that it's easier for you to meet someone that is here, right? So, how inconvenient it is for me if I, hook you up with or set you up with someone that is 5,000 miles away. So what happens now when you actually tell the AI and these agentic systems that distance is not a problem and they can find you a match 5,000 miles away? But in the quest of love or in the quest of whatever, you're trying to optimize for, if the AIs really figure that out and say you're a match and go next level, that's really, really, really next opportunity. So I really think that that's what our agent systems are going to be doing. And very pragmatically, I've been blown away to the interfaces and how these agentic vendors and technology providers have figured out a way to do the AI. So really, really excited about that one, Ardis. So good call. All right. I'm going to go into something that I'm really, really excited about, that it's specifically on AI-powered devices, right? I like this idea that success in anything that is media is inversely correlated with the size of the screen. So the smaller the size, the more potentials there are in media. And that's something that Scott Galloway usually talks about. Phones and the deployment of all these AI-powered devices basically mean that in my phone, in my laptops, in my iPads, whatever mobile deployment I have is really going to get next generation. So think about these stats, right? Over 30% of the new devices shipped, right, will basically start already as I open them up, having some type of generative AI capability. Right now, 30% of the things that are being shipped have that embedded. That means that they're faster, better. I mean, think about the new interface that iPhone just released, right, on phones and things of that sort. So it's going to be really, really exciting to see how AI capabilities go next level in anything that is powered via chips and whatnot. So I'm excited about that, and we'll start seeing very, very different type of products. Thoughts and reactions to that one?
I'm going to leave that one. I'm not going to give any reactions. I think you're. I don't know how big that impact is going to be, but
all right, I like that one. Spicy. All right, my friend, your turn.
All right, so kind of switching back to adoption and higher education, I feel 2025 is going to be the year of adoption. We talked about 2023 was the year of, what the hell is this? And 2024 was just the experimentation phase, and 2025 will now be the year of adoption. And I'm really excited about adoption of not just new tools, but adoption of AI tools and generative AI, specifically around the workflows that different schools at the organization level. So this year, people were kind of stepping into it a little bit. Some organizations are more faster than others. 2025, they're going to have to adopt it. So we're at that early adopters was this year, maybe towards the end of this year. Next year, we're going to see kind of the majority starting to bring in some of those tools internally in order for them not to be left behind. So we're going to see that happen, not just in kind of the student experience world and how they're going to be able to help their students, but we're going to see it in productivity. We've seen a little bit of that with Copilot, for example, like licenses, folks buying licenses of Copilot or ChatGPT for education. So we're going to see that accelerate even faster. And we're actually going to see folks adopting these AI agents as part of their workflows. But data is going to play a big role in that, right? And it's going to be very interesting to see how these really old systems are going to integrate with this AI agentic systems like Element. We have the benefit of the doubt of having the whole integration layer and the whole data layer and model as part of our main platform. So we benefit from that. We don't have to go in and do the work and bring the data from other systems directly with our AI agents. But these other solutions, they're going to have a hard time because connecting to colleague or connecting to your SIS or connecting to your LMS, it's going to, it's not very straightforward. So it will be a really, really interesting year to see that adoption.
Yes, I think you're onto something. The maturity and the curve of adoption enters a point of closer to 50%. And That's basically where early adopters start moving into some type of majority. And to your point about higher education, the needs are so obvious. The requirements for AI to come and dominate are so interesting in the higher education sector that I think that this is going to be a monumental year there. So I think you're onto something there. Ardis, we are approaching interesting time on our podcast. We're kind of like, into 40 minutes on the conversation. There's so many things we want to talk about here. We can talk about predictions around, small language models. We can talk about, what does it mean for AI research? We can talk about, oh my gosh, collaboration, regulation, healthcare, and so forth. So I'm going to let you pick one. I have the one that it's very core to me that I want to talk about, that is basically what you just said, because who I am, adoption in education, ed tech. I want to give you my prediction on 2025 as the year of AI-driven data analytics. I'm going to start with two stories where actually three stories, my gosh, all me, the analyst. I'm always crunching numbers and doing things. For the first time, I've not used the systems I've used in the past, whether it is Python, R, some type of data visualization tools. And I've done all these very deep things using ChatGPT specifically, right? We're talking about doing Monte Carlo simulations, something that we just did for Element, all in a conversation, right? Conversational type of analysis. We're talking about doing a really, really complicated forecast for my family that would require Python script. Did it there, right? Also, many things in classroom got done in an environment that it was conversational. So I think that AI for 2025 is going to start creating a new unlock for businesses that have structured data, that you're able to bring these CSVs, Excel sheets, and just basically put that conversational interface and you extract insights. We're going to see that like nobody's business. So the analyst is going to spend more time in ChatGPT than in Excel, Power BI, Tableau, Python, R, or whatever choice of data analysis they have. So I'm really, really excited about this one. I'm already starting to see it, and I can see how many other analysts basically make the leap in 2025.
Well, I agree with that because we're already using it this year. So it's
cool. But that's the point, that this is where I'm linking it to yours, right? That there's these early adopters, but 2025 is where it becomes an early majority.
So you're saying that you don't have to think about anymore on building a report to send to your president or building a report internally. All you have to do is just understand or ask questions around your data. So you can ask questions and then you can get that in real time.
The motions of analytics is that you get information, you analyze it in mind so you can produce insight. If in the motions of insight generation, you basically have a way to do it faster and you end up with the insight, it's just a no-brainer for someone to say, I don't have to do it in Excel and produce a pretty chart, because at the end of the day, what we want is, what are the three things that you just learned and what are we doing differently? Or, how do you unlock resources or whatever, right? But the insight generation process, as we know it, will be different in 2025. Not that it is not already, it's just basically it goes more mainstream as it relates to the analyst. And yes, it means that the analyst loads a CSV or a file and it says, tell me the three things I should be doing based on this data. And then all of a sudden an analysis is conducted, as opposed to load, read, averages, standard deviation, and I don't know, the 55 other things someone would do.
Maybe I'll give you a better one. It's like, do we even need those? Do we even need that report to see it? Or that's going to be 2026. It's like, can we have goals and say, hey, just don't even care about producing the KPI or the report or the number out. Just think about the outcome and then tell me if I'm to goal on the outcome or not, or like, how do I, you know what I mean? Like, notify me, be proactive and notify me when.
I mean, yes, and I think it connects to your prediction of goal-oriented agents basically going mainstream, right? But my point here is not to discredit what you're saying, is that there's still a trade called the analyst that in a way retrospectively tells the story of what has happened and gives a recommendation, right? Generates insight. It's a retrospective practice, as opposed to retrospectively, tell me what to do and go ahead and do it. That in a way goes above the analyst. And you're right, it will take place in 2025. But as it relates
Are you
to that
saying,
thing,
so what are you saying is that the analyst is dead?
the analyst should not spend. That's a very interesting one. Am I saying the analyst is dead? I don't think it's a 2025 thing, but just like what a graphic designer evolves to a UX or a programmer starts basically doing things differently, that's what is going to happen with the analyst. You start seeing that I don't spend as much time crunching numbers, cleaning up data, and doing fancy formulas. Now I'm an insight generator. So is the analyst becoming more a strategist? Probably that's what I think is going to happen. You start seeing this manifestation of I'm not just a data nerd, but I'm an insight strategic nerd. And that's a different manifestation. So how is that going to be called? Maybe that should be our January 1st, 2025 episode.
I think you're right. Yes, I think that will be our January 1st. Okay. So we're going to leave it for that.
What is your, and you get to close us with predictions. We have so many. So which one are you going to end with?
So many predictions. Would you have predicted last year that NVIDIA was going to be the number one company in the world and put your money towards it? You would have been like, what's the 1 year growth of NVIDIA?
I don't know. And I don't know if I would have predicted that it was the number one. I knew it was going to be one of the contenders. I just didn't expect it to be what it became. I don't know how much it grew. So what is it?
So let's see. In 1 year, NVIDIA has gone from $50 to $140.
That's 3x.
So,
wow.
Yeah. It's grown, 3 times in just 1 year.
It's unbelievable. More room for, you did not like my prediction on AI-powered devices. So are you saying that you're actually...
The on-chip devices? I think NVIDIA has a lot more room to grow, to be honest with you. And if, obviously I'm not going to make any, I need to make a disclaimer. We're not financial advisors. Talk to your financial advisor if you're, I feel like we have to do that. But from a technology perspective, kind of where we're sitting, there's just I don't see any way that, the world would require less chips from NVIDIA. And the growth of that company is going to just continue. Nobody else has been able to match it so far. Intel is gone. It's like just, if you've kind of kept up with it, it's just very, very sad where they are. I'm reading a book called The Chip Wars right now. And I'm to the part where over the last 10 years, so I'm almost there. I'm almost there in the last 10 years. So I'm almost finishing. I got another hour or so in my Audible. But it's fascinating where we are today and how the chip has evolved and where China and the US and like all these different players in terms of the, kind of silicon wars, like how that's a thing now. But I don't see NVIDIA slowing down. So it's going to be a big prediction for me, I guess. It's like if you're a fan of Jensen Huang, it's not going to stop.
Are you thinking NVIDIA 2025 being 25 to 250 or 2,500? Come on, let's predict.
If we come back here next year, I think it's going to be like 400 NVIDIA next year.
I love that. Without splits and all those type of mechanisms that you can.
I think so. Yeah, I don't think they're going to split. Yeah.
Well, everybody, if you buy an NVIDIA and you come back at the end of the next year with a ton of money,
we are not financial advisors.
Just
do not take our word for it.
And if it doesn't happen, just think Ardis because we're not financial advisors. Well. This is 2024, a recap in 2025 aspirations and a view of the future that we're so excited to be part of, help build Ardis, and more importantly, tune up and comment on, because the one and last prediction I will make that it will be for sure, and you can bet on that, is that we're going to be talking about everything that happens in AI, and Ardis and I will be your compadres in this journey about generation AI. Ardis, you want to send us home?
For those, happy, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. This is going to be our last episode for 2024. We will see you all in January of 2025 with our first episode around...
Is the analyst dead?
The new jobs and what do you need to learn about AI in 2025 and what do you need to get your skills up. So till next year, everybody, have a wonderful rest of the year and Happy New Year.
Bye, everybody.
Generation AI is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you're going to like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing weekly, and we've got a wide range of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our shows help higher ed leaders and professionals like you find their next big idea. They feature a selection of the industry's best as your hosts, like Jamie Hunt, Seth Odell, Jenny Lee Fowler, Brian Gross, and many of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform that's helping institutions all over the country create meaningful, personalized, and engaging connections with their prospects and students. Learn more at element451.com.